Well, hello and welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. So, as you probably have already guessed, this week's blog deals with some of the events that we saw over the previous weekend, specifically the March for Life or the March for Our Lives or the Million Mensch March or whatever they call themselves. At any event, it was probably one of the most singularly disappointing things that I have ever witnessed as an American citizen. Thousands of individuals standing firm and demanding that the government take away their rights. I'm not entirely sure how we got here, but it bears some study as to the understanding that most people have of the Constitution itself. The Constitution does not grant rights. The Constitution recognizes rights that pre-existed the very formation of the Constitution itself. Okay? The Second Amendment gives you the right to bear arms. It doesn't say anything about guns. It says the right to bear arms. All right? Arms are tools that individuals would use to defend themselves against tyranny. Tyranny is the actions of the majority against the needs and the rights of the minority. All right? That's what the Constitution stands for. The Constitution is the ultimate bulwark against the power of the state, in our case, the use of democracy, that the majority would use the levers of state control to victimize the minority. That's the very definition of tyranny. Now, the Second Amendment is our individual protection against that. And yet, these individuals are looking to take these rights away. Probably, and I mentioned it in the blog, one of the most kind of humorous aspects of this is that in response to the tragedy that happened in Florida, there's proposals, and I'm not sure if it's actually been codified into law yet, but there's proposals to have the students in these high schools have clear backpacks. That way, I guess, if an individual was carrying a prohibited item, everybody would be able to see it. In any event, the leaders of the movement to essentially disarm America are absolutely livid that this type of infringement on their basically their civil rights, in this case their Fourth Amendment right, is being promulgated. Well, here's the deal. If you're going to be fast and loose with the Constitution on things that are protected and things that aren't, you have to be willing to accept the fact that you're nothing more than a subject. And as a subject, you're completely at the whim of whoever happens to be in power at any given time. You either are a citizen or you're a subject. It's one of the two. It's a binary equation. Okay? If power emanates from you, then you are in fact a citizen. If power emanates from the government, then you're nothing more than property of the state. And trust me, when we look at statist societies throughout the world where power emanates from the government, or at least in theory that's where it comes from, you don't want to live there. In any event, I hope you enjoy the blog. As always, if you have questions or if you have comments or you think I'm completely off base, feel free to email me at stephen@artemishq.com. And as always, train constantly, train consistently, train with purpose, and above all else, stay safe and vigilant. Until next week, thank you.